going on, Jeromes? Beautiful Monday, birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another session of Vikings Q&A. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Periodically, we'll put out there on the community tab, and thank you very much, everyone who submits Qs. And yeah, we're gonna get better at doing some more Q&A videos. There you go. First up is Carito. What would you consider an OG Jerome? I've been watching since 2017 when it was still just audio. So generally, OG Jeromes, people who we see comment a lot and names that keep popping up over and over and over again. And people have been with the show for a long time, and some just listen and view. That's perfectly fine. But I love the Jeromes who get involved. I love to give a little shout out if you've been at it for a while. But Carito, OG Jerome as well. Also, should we consider trading for anyone, and who? Will Johnson. So I know that Will Johnson, there's going to be some consternation about his 40. How come there was never any issue about his speed on the field? Right, but everyone's so concerned. Oh, he didn't run the 40 at his pro day. Don't care. Don't care. Absolute phenomenal athlete. Great zone corner. J.C. Horn adjacent. I think that Will Johnson is going to be a stud in this league. And some teams may knock him down because of the turf toe injury and because he didn't run the 40. But the tape speaks for itself. Like, dude is revved up, ready to go. And if he gets to the late 20s, I would consider a move up. If only I had the graphic of the draft order. So if he gets by Seattle, I would give a late 20s, late teens. I would give serious consideration for moving up, because I think that it might be tough for him to get by the Chargers in 22 for obvious reasons. They need corners as well as the Harbaugh connection is there. So I would consider leapfrogging the Chargers there. So we'll see. But Will Johnson's great, man. Next, Jaden Brookshire. What do you think about Desmond Watson? So I know that Watson's been really interesting ever since he performed at his pro day. But given his size, I actually feel like he needs to lose weight. And I think that he would be an effective 2-down, decent nose tackle. And I know a lot of it is like J.J. Pegues, Tonka Hemingway in terms of the running back aspect. But I think he's more of a draft season spectacle right now. I don't think he gets drafted, but I wouldn't mind if the Vikings made him a priority UDFA. They gave him a couple K guaranteed and just go from there. Because I think that there probably isn't going to be a ton of pass rushing upside there. I think he only had 5 pressures and like 300 snaps last season for the Gators. But yeah, I mean, size is size, man. And he is a plus athlete. So could be interesting. Next. If the Vikings had Hard Knocks, like he would be a star on there. He'd be good. Next, Vaughn, love the work you do. Thank you. What would the most you would pay Addison if you were to get an extension, or what value could we get out of him? I think right now the Vikings are going to trade Addison. Yeah, because because you look at the contracts. So the Eagles took care of Devontae Smith early, which is something that's smart that Howie Roseman does, but it's still $25 million a year. And the Vikings, they're going to have a lot of mouths to feed. And by the time Addison is eligible for an extension after the season, I mean, if he comes out and proves that he's that guy, and opposite Jefferson has a 1,000-yard season, they would consider it. Plus, if they can get something done early, because I think Addison wants his money early. JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. The whole let's get paid thing. I think Addison would take an earlier pay date for slightly lesser amount than waiting 2 years, playing through that 5th-year option, flirting with a franchise tag, really T. Higgins-ing this thing out. I don't know, but you look at T. Higgins making $28.7 per season, and that's as a wide receiver too. Like, that's where we're currently at with monies wise. But I don't know, like, may as well buzz the tower. Like, if you could get Addison for, I don't know, 22 at this point, just see what. Also, is it where the Godwins paid more than Evans? But that's beside the point. I think Addison is supreme talent, but also I think that he has a ton of trade value, and I think it's a spot too where Addison has been mature about this, and he recognizes that he gets his opportunities because he's opposite Jefferson, even though he played a lot of season 1 as wide receiver 1. But at a certain point, does he see himself as a wide receiver 1, and would he want to go to a team where he can do that? Because there's a big difference between wide receiver 2, $25 million per year, and wide receiver 1 money. Jefferson getting $35 million per year, which would probably be the norm in a couple of seasons when Addison's ready to get paid. So I think that it comes down to money. I think that Addison may want to leave as much as the team may want to seek value. So I don't know. So sometimes things come together, sometimes not. But yeah, that's definitely something to monitor over the next couple of years. Next, Cody Pierce. OG Jerome. Who's a couple prospects you aren't as high on as others rave about, and your dedication to the offseason pre-draft is something of legend? Thank you. Basically all the quarterbacks. And I know that we're trying to gas this up because quarterbacks, they get views, they get clicks, they get everything. I think this is a 1.5 quarterback draft where I think it's Cam Ward. I think it's probably Shedeur Sanders. I think that both of them would be quarterback 7 and 8 if they're in last year's draft class. I think if J.J. McCarthy was in this class, obviously he would be number 1 with a bullet. And the rest of it is, when we started the offseason, Jackson Dart was seen as like a mid-round pick. Same thing with Jalen Moreau. Now they're getting steam as first-round picks. I just don't see it. Or Tyler Shuck, talking about him being a high pick, 17-year senior. I don't know, man. We've seen this Brandon Whedon thing before, but with Dart, as a quasi-USC fan, I watch every single snap of Jackson Dart. He's definitely a heat check player. If he can get on a roll, but sometimes there's just really atrocious tape. And I think that if coached up, like maybe he could be a little something, but there's a lot of ifs there. All right. And Jalen Moreau, I love the mobility. I love the tenacity. I love the leadership. I love all of that stuff. I love the chip on his shoulder. Lank. Reese Davis, what's up? But I don't know, like I actually think that the Malik Willis stuff helps him, right? Because Malik Willis looking good in spot duty with the Packers, and having a mobile quarterback with some upside. Like maybe teams will take a chance on him. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it is a spot where teams are just so desperate for quarterbacks that they will reach for guys that probably should be in the mid rounds, but they'll take them first round because hey, if it doesn't work out, we'll just go get another one, right? Because there isn't the before the rookie wage scale, there's always talk back in the day. You spend a high draft pick on a quarterback. It's a monster contract with heavy guarantees. That could set the franchise back. But now with the rookie wage scale, you draft a quarterback first round, it doesn't work out, you just move on to the next one. That's exactly what happened with Josh Rosen and the Cardinals. They took the chosen Rosen at 10, and then it didn't work out. And then 1 year later, they took Kyler Murray at number 1. Right? So I think that it gives teams licenses to just keep shooting. Keep shooting until you find one. Shoot or shoot. Yeah. But overall, like the quarterbacks, sort of whatever about it, which makes me so happy that we got freaking J.J. McCarthy last year. Free OG Jerome. Looking forward, I do think Kevin O'Connell should get some personnel control. I know he has input now, but he is the type of coach that handle both responsibilities. Is Kwesi a perfect GM to have shared control with? I think Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell have a great working relationship. I think that they're both humble. I think that they're both team forward because you've seen, like, I mean, you saw in the last regime, Zimmer and Spielman not talking to each other anymore. You look at A.J. Smith with the Chargers and Marty Schottenheimer. They fired Marty after going 14-2. It wasn't because of the football team. It was because of egos. And people's egos can get rubbed the wrong way. And personnel is a major decision. And Parcells talked about, I should buy the groceries. I should be able to cook the dinner. I think that it's smart to have a separation of church and state, where head coaches, like, there's so much going on as a head coach that I feel like you don't have enough bandwidth to do personnel as well. Because good GMs, like they're scouting all football season long during college. They're attending all the pro days and combine stuff, and coaches are too, except coaches are coming in without that dossier of knowledge of the players. And now, they get caught up from their scouting department, sure, but that's a lot of ground to make up. And I think that there's too much of an autocracy if a head coach is also the GM, right? I think that it's good to have two people doing both jobs, or two people, a separate person in each job. And Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, Kwesi's very proud of the fact that they collaborate, and this isn't just a dictatorship with him at GM. I make the choice. Yeah, it is his final say, and the buck ultimately stops with him, but input is there. Maybe there's too much input from Ed Donishell with the 2022 class, right? But Kwesi talks about him and Flores, him and Kevin O'Connell. And Kevin O'Connell, like, if he was GM, like, Kirk Cousins would still be here, and he would still be making like $45 million per year, because Kevin O'Connell's a loyal guy. And if Kurt wasn't here, Darnold would be here making that cash. So I think that there's a good checks and balances, and I think it's smart to keep things fully separated. Also, it speaks well that Kwesi's going to be around, that Kevin O'Connell didn't get any additional personnel power, even though he got his extension first. Lastly, Isaiah Hansen. I grew up near Rochester, Minnesota. Besides Marcus Sherrills, has there been anyone from Southeast Minnesota that made it to the NFL or will be playing soon? So Carl Klug from Caledonia, go Warriors, was a defensive tackle for Iowa, and then he was with the Titans for a long time. I always wanted him on the Vikings. Just, he's coming home. Then also Steve Hyden from my hometown, Rushford, Minnesota. He is third-round pick by the Chargers. I think that he went to South Dakota State. Yeah, Jackrabbits. Or was it South Dakota Coyotes? I think it was Jackrabbits. And then went to the Browns. Then got into coaching. Was a big part of like the Bruce Arians coaching tree in there, Arizona, a long time. I think he's currently with the Lions, but he's made a nice career as a tight end offensive line coach. Oh, also my uncle, Dean Carlson, was a quarterback at Iowa State, and then he was like Len Dawson's backup for a couple of seasons. I don't think anyone off the top of my head from that corner of the state be making the league anytime soon, but you never know. So it's always kind of nice. Local kid done good angle. Marcus Sherrills, CJ Ham from Duluth, Adam Thielen, Detroit Lakes go crazy, all that stuff. But that's it. That's at Q&A for this beautiful day. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.